So warmly welcome. Good morning, everybody, to our first edition of our AHK Market Insights. Warmly welcome, and it's a great pleasure to have Jan Noether with me, my dear colleague from India. In our new format, so I will have a interview situation with him. So I stating some questions to him about India, about the FTA trade agreement, and about the impact of German industry, and for instance as well on German-Italian partnership possibility. And and you have the possibility to state as well questions and the Q&A. You have the chat to state your question, and I will take the chance to put it directly to Jan. So hopefully you will enjoy more or less the hour with us, with Jan. Maybe a couple of words to Jan, because he is one of our most appreciated and most experienced colleagues in our AHK network. He served for our network as CEO in Vietnam, China, Turkey, Egypt, Malaysia, and now in India. He's actually came back to India because before he worked always as CEO and president for the chambers. He worked for the Deutsche Bank in India. So he's a back-coming man and a very experienced man. Jan, a pleasure to have you. Good morning from Ireland to India.
Good morning, Jörg. Good morning, dear guests. It's a pleasure to be a part of this webinar.
Yeah. So maybe as an introduction and a warm-up, you might be waiting for some more participants. So maybe for those who are AHK business that's not familiar, how would you describe your mission in India and your current focus in a few sentences?
Yeah, this year is an important year for us. We celebrate our 70th anniversary. So for 70 years, we are active in the field of fostering economic relationship between India and Germany. And we do that, India is big, we do that by running 6 offices in the main hubs of German industries. And since India is a quite interesting market in Germany as well, we run an office in Düsseldorf for more than 40 years now. So it's quite an established topic, and as every AHK fostering economic relationship is, we do have a chamber organization. We do offer a wide range of services, and of course, we look into advocacy when it comes to membership interests towards the mainly, of course, the Indian governmental offices, but we cater these kind of insights to the German government as well when there are meetings scheduled with the senior officials from India.
Good to know. So coming to your country, to India, because it's often described as and now seen as one of the most dynamic growth markets worldwide, as both of us, so Germany and Italy, are big exporters, industry nations. What are in your point of view, what are the 3 factors currently make India particularly attractive for international companies?
Yeah, you mentioned one point, one of the biggest growth markets. If we look into the 20 biggest economies over the past 10 years, the Indian economy grew the most. The Indian economy over the past 10 years grew 77%, which is quite astonishing. And of course, India is big. We have 1.47 billion people living in India, and every year, we have more to be part of the huge consumption, huge consumer market in India. So whatever is onshore in India is of great interest, and India is very hungry for technology. India wishes to be a fully industrialized country by 2047, which is the 100th birthday of India. Okay. And therefore, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's energy, whether it's machinery sector, everything is in need. And technology from Germany. I mentioned 70 years of relationships already. Technology from Germany is in high demand, but, and we will certainly talk about that later on, yeah, there are, of course, various challenges as well.
Definitely. But before we come to the challenges, you touched already some sectors where there is a high demand and a high interest in cooperation and partnership. So what, maybe there are some classic ones, you already named one, maybe you can repeat it, but what in your point of view are the rising stars, seeing as well the upcoming partnership with Europe?
Yeah, absolutely. So one part which we have a strong focus on is research and development. In India, yeah, this is all clubbed, combined in so-called GCCs, which stands for Global Capability Centers. As an example, Bosch holds on to 35,000 people. More than 20,000 work in global R&D structures. And it's not only IT, adaptation to market scenarios, it is IT linked to AI and looking into product development on a global basis as well. That is one part. Yeah. So the IT AI infrastructure, and we just had last week the first AI summit, which, by the way, was visited by the German Minister of Digitalization, Dr. Wildberger, and he was very impressed about the capabilities which they are in India. Then if I look at, for example, machinery industry, that's 13 billion imports from Europe every year, which is quite big, however, competitive scenarios. So FTA is important. We do have the common topics like pharmaceuticals, or we have common topics like electronics. New, which is growing, is the aviation industry and space. Yeah, and you know that Indians are currently preparing for a moon landing. Yeah, they take that very seriously. Yeah, but looking at then again global development, lots of patents in the aviation industry come from India. Yeah, these days. So the health sector I would characterize as a very important one. Yeah, since we do have 1.4 billion people in India, however, we have around 500 to be around the poverty line or below the poverty line. So health, is of growing importance. AI plays a very important role in there. And maybe to round that, when it comes to energy, renewable energies, so all the entire field of sustainability, since India, 8 of the 20 biggest metro cities globally are in India, and that is a concern. So we need to adapt quickly to sustainable strategies.
Speaking about sustainable strategies, in having global value chains, it's important to have as well a look on resilience. In this regard, what is India's role, having the geopolitical situation globally? So what has changed in your point of view, having supply chains? What is the role of India in this regard? Resilience in value chain.
Yeah, a very, very important question. Yeah, since generally speaking, from a political point of view, India, will not be linked to a political bloc. Yeah, there are lots of pragmatic decisions. And these pragmatic decisions, for example, I'm always asked, but India buys oil from Russia. Well, India is very big, and they look into the needs of the local population, and they need to serve these needs. Therefore, and Russia or Soviet Union, when we look back to 1947 and years after, there was always a very close relationship. India is a part of BRICS. However, the biggest trading partner is the US. And having said that, pragmatic decisions are very, very important. When it comes to the field of sustainability, we had the Asia Pacific Conference in November 2024. And we were graced by the presence of Narendra Modi, our honorable Prime Minister. And the third sentence was, Germany is a front runner when it comes to sustainability. However, if we look into the ranking, Germany is number 11, India is number 7. That was one of the marks he made. So the biggest solar park globally is in India. And they do produce the panels. They do have the engineering capabilities in order to do that. However, and that's one of the parts, supply chains. We do have gaps in the supply chains still. So we have a reasonably high import share. And there, the mid-sized businesses, specifically from Europe, play a crucial role when we look ahead. But sustainable concepts are not driven by the government. Those are driven by industry, and it is a commercial aspect. If I invest into whatever solar modules on my roof, of a factory, in the long run time span of 10 years, the energy produced, including the invest, is low price than looking into energy supplies out of the grid.
Okay. As you touched solar panels, and we discussed the issue of complex resilience and complex value chain. What about materials on this issue, raw materials? Is it a resource country, or is it as well the gap in the value chain in your point of view?
We are reasonably rich when it comes to resources. However, those are not explored. So again, when Modi came into power 2014, he slightly opened the markets. So when we look into mining, for example, those were very unfortunate deals. So no huge industrial conglomerate from abroad, name Australia, had a business case, and therefore they were very cautious to enter India. So they feel that there are raw materials which need to be explored, and then, of course, which need to be brought into the manufacturing cycle. There are capabilities, but as of today, we need to look into the future in order to how to explore it and what kind of concessions an Indian government will do to make it attractive for an international mining company. Again, for us Europeans, we are not really in the field of mining. However, we are in the field of supplying technologies into that area. Huge potential when we look into the future.
Speaking about potential, and you touched already the topic of possible hurdles and where maybe there are some struggling issues when it comes to foreign investment. So where do you see, or what's the AHK perspective regarding the biggest hurdles and structural challenges? Let me express it like this in India.
India is not an easy market. If a company looks at India, runs a due diligence, and wishes to generate whatever return on invest of 15% per year, it may be feasible in some of the industries, but generally no. However, India is very predictable when it comes into the time span of the next 20 years. We talk about the biggest democracy in the world, and what I've seen as well, the population very much participates in a political dialogue. It is similar to what we see in Europe. Delhi is far, but there are regional aspects, and these regional aspects are very, very powerful. And irrespective of let's say social ranking, everybody has an opinion, everybody participates in there. Now back to the challenges. We do have some hurdles when it comes to entering the Indian market. There is an administrative effort which is required to set up a business. All our businesses to be in India from Germany, we talk about around 1,800 German businesses to be active in the field of manufacturing, in the field of services. All of them reinvest when it comes to growing their presence in India, since the future seems very, very bright. One hurdle is 5-star quality is in demand. Indians are good negotiators. We discussed the pricing on a basis of a 3-star pricing, but 5-star quality is always there. So entering India as a newcomer means we need to have an India strategy in place. Of course, an AHK and lots of others in our network assist in these endeavors to avoid generally first movers hiccups, but administrative efforts. I mentioned that non-tariff barriers, ease of doing business. India moved over the past 10 years. However, there's still some room for growth. Infrastructure topics, logistics is a topic. We do have congested roads, and like 90% of all of the goods are run over roads. And if I fly from Mumbai to, let's say, Trivandrum in the south, I sit on an aircraft 3 hours. If I fly to Delhi, I sit on an aircraft from Mumbai for 2.5 hours. So dimensions are really, really huge. So logistics, infrastructure, energy. Well, when we look at urban areas, that's all fine. When we look at rural areas, there's again a field where we need lots of investments in the future to connect the grid to, let's say, areas to not be that central. And finally, maybe one of the challenges would be land. Now, imagine that almost 50% of the Indian population is still working in the field of agriculture or around the field of agriculture, and just go 50, 60 years back. So when the landowner passes, the children, sons mainly, inherit. So they had to split that land into whatever, 4 equal shares. We do have a central registration, which is all fine. But if a company today goes to or plans to do a greenfield investment outside of an industrial zone, we need to be very careful who are the landowners, since you never deal with one. You may deal with up to 20 in order to get it done. And be aware of the nephew to be or to live in New York and to come back and to say, well, this part is mine. And we have a good legal system. However, time of let's say jurisdiction is a topic. To get a title and to get this title in place may take years in India. So maybe that is some of the challenges. But the good news, we as an AHK, we are active in the field of non-legal settlements, dispute resolutions. And per year, we may have one case of an Indian company or of a German company to come up with some kind of a dispute. And there is kind of India, at the end of the day, the participants compromise.
It's good to know, and good to have you over there in such a challenging market as it is for Indians as well in Italy. So for you, dear guest participants, you may know, but I love to repeat it, as an AHK member, you're as well happy to use the services, good services of our colleagues, in this case in India. describe perfectly, the challenges in the market, which leads me to the EU-India free trade agreement, because, speaking about the mother of all deals, which describes perfectly, which you touched as well, in measurable terms, a market about around 2 billion people, almost a quarter of global GDP, the biggest democracy, a good partner, which have been stressed by Modi as well in the presentation of the deal. And for our guests, Jan had the possibility to be part of the announcement between Modi and Ursula von der Leyen when it took place in India. So, Jan, for you, which sectors would benefit most of such a free trade agreement between India and EU?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I tend to say all.
I hope you have an answer.
If we look at the European Indian overall volume of trade, and the exports from Europe into India, 94% of all the duties fall. So that is merely a free trade agreement. However, not all of these duties fall immediately. There are certainly various aspects, and for me, since the automotive industry is very strong in Italy, automotive is very strong in Germany. The Indian automotive market is 4.5 million cars per year. The German share is 200,000 out of these 4.5 million. Now, currently, we are disadvantaged, and that is something we have to be careful about when it comes to the implementation of the free trade agreement at the end of the day. Since the duties in the first phase are going to fall from 110% to 40%. And that is linked to a quota of 100,000 cars or parts. So in a time span of 5 more years, the duties will fall to 10% and the quota will be lifted to 250,000. We are not talking about a German quota, we are talking about an EU quota. And we don't have any information as yet, has not been published, which country gets which share. We'll see that. So now if I talk to the CEOs of the German OEMs, they say, well, Mercedes sells 20,000 cars, BMW sells around 20,000 cars, Volkswagen sells 120,000 cars, but the strongest brand of Volkswagen is Skoda. They sell around 70,000. So does it make sense, when I have this kind of a volume, to look into a full localization? Well, difficult from an economic point of view. However, if I miss out on that localization, I have difficulties to stay competitive, since if we currently have a share of 200,000 cars in a market which is 4.5 million per year, I will never become a competitive player in this automotive sector, since others, from Asian countries mainly, they have a localization rate of 95%. And they take full advantage of the local environment, of the local production capabilities, and of the global or the local supply chains into the automotive sector. So the name of the game is that the automotive industry needs to think about localization at the end of the day, since over the past, let's say, 18 months, the Indian rupee devaluated by around 12-13%. This is not a question of the weakness of the Indian economy. This is more like that the US dollar weakness reflects, since US is the biggest market, reflects on the INR, on the Indian rupee value as well. So you asked me which areas are going to benefit. Let me go away a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I can say whatever. Yeah, India will cut tariffs on iron. Yeah, from 22 to 0. Yeah, pharmaceutical from 11 to 0. Yeah, yeah, cars I mentioned. Yeah, first to 40, then to 10, and then to 0. Yeah, plastics. Yeah, will be 0. Yeah, then fruit juices, non-alcoholic beer, 0. Yeah, spirits or alcoholic beverages, currently 150%, will go down to 50. Yeah, and so on and so on. Yeah, so in the long run, things are going to be reduced heavily, and most of the imports to 0. Now, if I'm a European manufacturer and I am in an export-related relationship, I need to have that cut, since India does not only deal with Europe, with the EU, and they have trade agreements in place with other Asian countries. And if we take, for example, machinery, machinery industry is strong in Italy. Currently the import duty into India is 44%. How do we compete with a manufacturer from China who does not have 44%? And that in a very price-conscious market. So the waiving of tariffs will create a competitiveness, for the European industry. And in the long run, and that's why India was very, very positive when it came to concessions in these trade negotiations. Of course, it will lead to investments in India. And we as the AHK, well, if these if the interaction on the Indian market is substantial, we need to think about in the long run to set up local manufacturing companies in order to really huge. It's the second biggest domestic market globally. It's double as the domestic market size is double as big as in the US. China being the biggest, India being the second biggest, of course, reflection of the size of India.
And as you touched as well, India plays an important role within the region, as well as maybe future even stronger export nation. As you named already on the long run, how long will the run be? So when we will see, what's your guess, the FTA finished, and what are more or less? I know there is no good information on this, but maybe you have some insights. What is more or less what are the milestones to expect?
Yeah, so the first milestone is we need to have the text. So the FTA has not finally been adopted, but the negotiations came to an end. The text, our Brussels office anticipated the text to be published within the next 6 to 8 weeks. On Friday night, I received information that the text is going to be published during this week. Then, the European Parliament needs to agree. First, all of the text needs to be legally vetted in India as well as in Europe. The European Parliament needs to agree, and the Indian Parliament needs to agree. So we would anticipate that the implementation of the FTA starts earliest towards the end of the third quarter next year, latest in the first quarter 2028. Now, we are not part of the negotiations. This is basically a translation of what I hear in the markets. India very much pushes the accelerator. Since Europe combined is the biggest trading partner of India. And therefore, given the turmoil globally, of course, India as the biggest democracy globally wishes to have partners in place to be reliable, to be state of the art, and in the end, to be welcome as not only trading partners, but investors.
So having this maybe, so let's guess latest beginning 28, many companies are asking what practical benefits can we expect from this FTA to the day-to-day business. So what's your answer to this? So whether in terms of market access, standards, tariffs, regulations.
Yeah. One very important part, of course, immediately we are going to see the tariffs to collapse, and to be reduced heavily. Yeah, that creates, of course,
So this will be done in one step.
That will be done in one step. However, as mentioned, not everything from whatever currently 100, 150 or whatever it is. Yeah, that is very high these days. Not everything will go to zero. Yeah, but as mentioned, 94% of all the tariffs eventually are going to go away. Yeah, which creates a more or less open market. Now we have to look at India as a market which was protected when it comes to local huge conglomerates to be the biggest employers. And India, that's why I mentioned early on, the access to the Indian market was not that easy. It became easier after 2014 when BJP, Modi came into power. And we are going to see further relaxations. However, it's not that all these barriers are going to fall. So one part is, of course, an FTA looking at the tariffs. The other angle is we need to look into certain standards and non-tariff barriers. And this is going to be very important. And Germany does not have that many bilateral governmental consultations. With India, there is these bilateral consultations every alternate year. This year in Berlin, in 2 years thereafter, then again in Delhi. And there, we very much look into what's going to happen. To give you an example, if you are an exporter currently, and you fall under one of these defined 750 product groups, you will have to license your product in India. That is not that bad, generally speaking, since India focuses on quality. However, these are the so-called QCOs, quality control orders. That means an inspector from India will come to Italy, will visit the manufacturing unit, will write a protocol and will say, well, that product is qualified to be to enter the Indian market, to be distributed in the Indian market. And it's certainly not Europe, which is targeted there. It's more or less China, which is the target. But there is an effort. And this kind of let's say quality assurance needs to be done every alternate year, every 2 years, every 3 years. It depends on industry. So of course we don't want to have that. When I look into 2017, there were 50 product groups. Now there are 750 product groups. Now, the good news is, in the light of the FTA and the final negotiations, and during November, December, January, our Minister of Industry and Trade, Piyush Goyal, he was in Brussels at least 6 times. Vice versa, the Brussels negotiators came to India minimum 5-6 times. So the industry, the first things we hear from industry is, this FTA is not a paper which was designed due to global turmoil. It was a well thought through process, well thought through paper, and the industries can work with it. Now, does the FTA include HS codes, for example, for companies to see, oh, I'm impacted or not? Well, we anticipate not yet. These are the things which are going to be worked out during the next months to come. But the general guiding principles for each and every industry are outlined reasonably clearly, which gives us confidence that this FTA is not, to use the American words, a deal. It's a marriage, and a marriage which needs to be taken into consideration for the next 20, 25 years. So long-term aspects.
Which have been stated even by Modi, that this FTA is based on a sustainable partnership with good partners.
Absolutely. Let me add one part when it comes to these non-tariff barriers. We have to see that Europe does not have a single FTA which includes certificates of origins. That was a last-minute addition from the Indian side. We don't have the details to which extent the documentation needs to be provided. But we would hope that that is not adding to the administrative efforts. And by the way, with these QCOs I mentioned, so this registration, India set up a committee just 6 weeks ago to say, well, we have to look at it, what is useful and what of these QCAs may not be that useful. And the first concession was the machinery industry, where they said, we are not going to immediately implement it. So it's paused. We don't know how long, but we would hope that it's not only being paused, but it's going to vanish. But we'll have to see. I'm not part of the Indian government. We have to see. But they look into these things to create an environment which is more inviting, since what does India need? Investments.
We need investments in India. Thank you very much for this insight, because that's a very, very interesting information, important information, and it looks like that these non-tariff
barriers
are the kind of the real hidden champions within the FTA. Yes, we have the tariffs, we go down to zero, but dealing with this, stopping regulation, easing these processes, even at least such important as the other topics. Having said so, to all our participants, if you like to state questions, please, you are free to use the chat. That brings me to one of our last questions of today. So, as we are all keen to see this partnership growing, though, what would be your tip to our participants, to our companies who are active in the German-Italian partnership with a strong industrial sector DNA? What should we look at as our German-Italian Chamber of Commerce having the FTA with India? On what should our companies look at in 2026?
Let's get prepared. First statement is a statement of Mrs. von der Leyen, who said within the next 5 years, the trade volume between Europe and India is going to double. We may be a little bit more cautious in that, but certainly there are going to be significant rates. So there's going to be a very, very strong growth of bilateral trade, EU and India. That may, by the way, ease certain topics. It may ease our tasks when it comes to advocacy. When we look at the FTA together with our European, we have a European chamber, FEBI, Federation of European Business, in Delhi, and they are sitting in our office. So in other words, there's a very close cooperation. So if there are questions later on and I'm not able to answer it right away, I will make sure that we are going to answer that within the next couple of days. Now, when we look at India, if you already established a relationship with India, yeah, then you are fine. Yeah, since the Indian entrepreneur, the Indian businesses are not geared towards projects, they are geared towards relationships. For me, when I arrived now, various let's say 7 months ago, yeah, for me, what was really striking is the number of 50-50 joint ventures we have in India. And I attended one of these joint ventures 40th anniversary, which signals that the fathers of this agreement and the mothers of this agreement, 40 years ago, concluded to work together. And meanwhile, the operations were handed to the next generation. Yeah, that very much suggests that the relationships in India are based on trust, yeah, are based on the mutual desire to grow the businesses. Yeah, that may not hold true in all aspects when we look at China, yeah, where in various industries it's more project driven rather than relationship driven. So if you're not active in India as yet, India is a relationship market. That's a network. Yeah. Now I could say everybody knows Narendra Modi. Of course not. Yeah. Our Prime Minister. But everybody knows somebody. Yeah. To know another person who may know Narendra Modi. Yeah. So network is everything in India. Yeah. If we understand each other, if we have a sound business case, yeah, market entry is going to be more easy, and the networks, yeah, of our local partners, yeah, may help us. Let me just, I need to, so, yeah, may help us. My screen blanked. I apologize. I have you back. Yeah, but these networking may help us to speed up decision making. Yeah, okay. Which is an important part. So that's one thing. Then India, when it comes to ease of doing business, yeah, there are always solutions. I mentioned India as a country is kind of pragmatic. Yeah, this pragmatism we have to carry into India. Yeah, if we want to really grow the business consistently, yeah, we need to be open for, let's say, circumstances which are not expected. Small example, then I'm quiet since I saw there are questions coming in.
Questions are arriving in.
We did have just a small example. We did have on Monday, yeah, we did have a delegation from Hamburg, 60 people, yeah, and they were scheduled already for the past 2 months. On Saturday before, yeah, the Prime Minister decided to go to the AI summit in Delhi, so they blocked the entire venue. So our delegation was not able to attend that trade show. Yeah. So that means Saturday, Sunday, yeah, our colleagues in Delhi, yeah, they structured a new program for Monday, and they succeeded. We had a wonderful program, but it was not the initial program. So what I want to say with that is, here in India, this here and there, we have to stay a little bit flexible for developments, yeah, but there's always a solution to it.
Yeah, speaking about flexibility or plasticità in Italian, I think that is one of a strong point of our SMEs here, the Italian ones who are very close to the market, very flexible to find solutions for the client in this regard. It's not so surprising to our Italian friends and partners, but I think indirectly you answered one question. So because and then I come to the chat. One question is, should I wait or should I go? No, the famous clash sound. So what get in now or later? And I think you answered it indirectly better earlier, no? Or did I get it wrong?
Yeah. Now is the time. Yeah, now is the time. Yeah, I don't want to say that now we need to get a project done in haste and enter the Indian market. We of course look at due diligences. Europeans are not that much of a risk taker, which is understandable, and India may not be let's say the core of the businesses of the past. We do need to understand a little bit the Indian culture, the Indian context, before we enter into the market. But let's say the economic way forward is already paved. We will see around 7% growth over the next 15 years. So participating in that growth, that wave which is rolling onto us currently, it makes sense to put India on the radar now, and to form a decision, since India currently is the fourth biggest economy globally. This year we overtook Japan from a sheer size. Of course, a lot of people live here, but in the year 2030, India is going to overtake Germany from an economic size. And that suggests it's going to be a global player reasonably soon, and explore the opportunities the market offers. But don't do that in 2030. The exploration of opportunities should be now.
Exploration should be now, and therefore I come to the chat and the question stated there. One question is a kind of cultural question. So question is from one participant: what are the payment practices? So we do business with India, we export a lot of machinery, chemics, products, whatever. So what are the payment practices of Indian companies?
Of course, similar to European companies in Europe. But allow me first, since that is unbelievable. If you live in India, there is a huge conglomerate called UPI. UPI is basically an online payment tool. I never carry any cash. I only carry my mobile phone. UPI, gets more than 15 billion transactions done every single month. Whether you buy whatever vegetables at a wooden stall, or whether you buy water or whatever it is, everybody has this QR code. You scan, you pay, done. So that is very, very widely accepted, and they just exported that payment system to Malaysia just 2 weeks ago. So but that's just the local domestic market. But that shows the development when it comes to AI topics, which is really fantastic. So if we look into payment practices, then we do have, of course, work or on a contractual basis. There may be advance payments, due to whatever it is, and there may be then 1-2 installments or the lump sum. If we import to Europe, from India, we have to be careful, since there's a withholding tax component. So those companies, to have to pay to India, shall be aware of, but we can help there. I can share that with you, Jörg, and you may distribute it to our guests. We can avoid certain GSTs or certain tax component if the payee is registered in India. That is a formal act. But similarly, if the Indian partner has to pay for an import into India, that is not a very, very, very easy target, since there's again, a withholding tax component, and we need to be aware of the details. I share that with you after that meeting. And half of this, I believe 26%, half of it can be saved due to registration.
So, and payment, I think this is, you touched this indirectly, but I think behind the question is if the payment is on time, so predictive time, or what are the time payments on contracts? It's as in Europe.
It's as in Europe. There are contractual topics as a basis, and if I want to pay abroad, I need to show what is it for. I cannot just whatever pay money without having a underlying documentation. And therefore I need to have the registration of the company which receives the funds, including their tax number, I believe, is one of the components. And that kind of a registration leads to a tax savings component. But contractual topics similar to Europe.
One more, maybe last question. You touched it in the introduction. It looks like that India have a clear plan where to go, what they like to be. You touched that there's a strong goal, being an industrial country within the region. And one question touched these issues as regard exportation. So how much is the current Indian interest to nurture their exportations worldwide? And in the EU through the FTAs, in which industry? So where are they strong in exportation? Where they would like to be strong in exportation? So if you could touch this topic.
So if I focus on the EU, I have a list here. Petroleum products is 15 billion. So exports from India into the EU, petroleum products, 15 billion. Electronics, including smartphones, is 11.3 billion. We talk dollars, US dollars. Textiles, 6.1 billion. Organic chemicals, 5.1 billion. Machinery, 5 billion. Iron and steel, 4.9 billion. And to iron and steel, allow me one sentence. The European Union did not make any concessions with regards to CBAM. So carbon border adjustment mechanism. India has a very strong steel industry, and of course they wanted to have concessions there, since they see Europe as one of their key markets when it comes to export of steel. Now Europe said no, it would be the very first country or FTA where we exclude CBAM. We can't do that, and they insisted on it. However, Europe says we will assist your companies in India in order to meet the criteria. So sustainable production. There are going to be whatever seminars, there are going to be financial assistance, there are going to be know-how transfer, in order to get the Indian steel manufacturers more sustainable to qualify for an import into Europe. But no concessions. They did not weaken that spot. CBAM is a mandatory topic. So 4.9 billion. Pharmaceuticals, 3 billion into the European market. Then gems and jewelry, 2.5 billion. 90% of the diamonds are being polished. I don't know, polished and more. In India. So Antwerp is there, a very big partner when it comes to stones, gems, jewelry. Auto parts, 1.6 billion. Footwear, 810 million. Coffee, 780 million. So those would be the main drivers of exports from India into Europe.
Okay.
Yeah,
and it's an actual state, but you see this as well as today's driver having the FTA. So these are the sectors where they would like to focus.
That's the sectorial drivers. Yeah, we certainly. What does Indian hope? Yeah, 99% of their goods into Europe, tariffs are going to be eliminated. That leads to enhanced trade. That leads to enhanced manufacturing in India. That creates jobs. Yeah, that is a very, very essential criteria. So currently the industry in terms of the GDP of India participates below 20%. Yeah, it's around 18%. They want to lift that up to 2030 to a range 23 to 25%. Yeah, and if we compare that with a European country, that's still low. But we were talking on exports of goods. One essential part is, of course, export of services. Yeah, and I believe one of the main drivers, and Europe, we shall have a look at that, is the very big field of AI-driven IT development or product development. Yeah, and we have various centers. 80 German companies established their global capability centers in India. 60 of these 80s, yeah, this is the second biggest R&D platform after Germany. Yeah, and they would not do that. Yeah, they would not do it if there is not a fee. So key export sectors, they look at textile, leather, gems, chemicals, marine, toy, sports, toys and sports goods. Sorry, another one final sentence. If we look at labor-intensive production, if you look at China, you pay $8 an hour. Yeah, you pay $2.60 per hour in India. Yeah, it is among the lowest pays. Yeah, but we shall not be blinded by that. Productivity in China exceeds by far the productivity you currently generate in India. Yeah, so labor-intensive topics. Still, having said that, starting third quarter 2025, more iPhones are being exported to India. Exported from India to the US compared to China to the US. And there is no import duty on these iPhones in the US. So they are not under special care. That is free from China and free from India. Okay. But the manufacturing base in India, meanwhile, is higher.
Thank you very much, Jan. We're coming really to the end. So maybe as a very last sentence, if you would need to characterize India for our German and Italian and European companies, what would be the sentence to sum up this webinar of today?
India needs to be watched. India needs to be watched. India really offers potential. Don't haste, but put it on the radar.
Put it on the radar, needs to be watched, and we have good dear colleagues over there who will help you to gain market in India. Thank you very much, Jan, for your insights you gave it to the market. Thank you, dear participants. As always, good to have you here. Give us some feedback on our first Inside AHK webinar. Next topics we will touch is on Mercosur and China, so challenging markets as well for our German-Italian partnership. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jan. Greetings from Milan to India, and see you soon in one of our dear events. Give some emotions to Jan, and thank you with the emotion button. Bye-bye, and see you soon. Arrivederci.
Thank you indeed. Thank you indeed, and have a fantastic day in Italy.
We will do so.